Welcome to day 7 of our 14-day Yogalates challenge for lower body strength and pelvic stability. If this is your first day participating in this series, check out the comments section down below for more details. And when you're ready, afford yourself a moment to find a comfortable seated position. Tuning into the breath. Perhaps placing one palm on the belly, the other on the heart space. Strengthening your connection to this moment, to your essence. You might like to close the eyes or find a soft gaze. From here, we'll walk our left fingertips out to the edge of the mat, lowering down onto the left palm, the left forearm as we extend our right arm overhead, finding a lovely stretch along the right side body. Perhaps gazing up towards the ceiling. One more breath. Scooping the chest forward, we'll come around to the right hand side, taking the same stretch. 2 breaths here. And gently returning upright to a seated position. And from here we'll extend our left leg out on an angle as we come into revolved head to knee pose. Inhale, extend the arms overhead. Exhale, lower the left arm down to the inner seam of that left leg. Inhale, raise to center. And again. Finding fluidity as we get a little bit deeper into stretching the QL region. Perhaps the back of the leg, and this time we'll stay down in a fold, doing your best to keep the shoulders stacked, broadening across the heart space. 2 breaths here. On your next inhale, mindfully guiding yourself upright to a seated position, crossing the left leg in, and this time we'll extend the right leg out, keeping the leg engaged, grounding down through the heel of the right foot, toes and kneecap are facing skywards. And we'll take the series on the other side. Exhale, lowering down. Inhale, back to center. A few more times, finding fluidity. And this time we'll stay down in a fold, making this as small or as large of a movement as you like, and really working on guiding your breath to any regions of the body where you are feeling sensation. On your next inhale, we'll work our way upright to a seated position, and this time extending both legs out in front. And we'll come into Parivrtta Konasana, bound angle. Soles of the feet are touching, knees are splayed wide, really lengthening through the vertebral column. Lowering the left ear to the left shoulder. Chin to chest. Back to center. Right ear to right shoulder. Chin to chest, and back to center, finding a little bit more fluidity. You might like to create some half moon shapes, rolling from ear to ear, shoulder to shoulder, finding your rhythm. And when you're ready, returning the head to center, we'll extend both legs out as we come into a wide-legged seated position. Roll the shoulders back. And if it's in your practice, you might like to stay upright, perhaps placing the fingertips behind the legs to really help you broaden across the heart space. Otherwise, we'll inhale, extend the arms overhead. Exhale, hinge from the hips as we come into a forward fold. Placing the fingertips down in front of you, maybe lowering down onto the forearms. Or you might like to create a pillow with your hands, allowing your forehead to rest atop of it. Really working on getting the abdomen as close to the floor as possible if you are in a forward fold. Otherwise, taking any variation that feels right for you in this moment. Settling in. One more breath. And mindfully guiding yourself upright into a seated position. Gently crossing the legs in. And we'll come into a tabletop position on all fours. Knees are hip-width distance apart, wrists are underneath shoulders. We'll ground down through the left palm. Inhale, extend the right arm overhead, gaze up. Exhale, thread the needle, guiding the right arm between the left arm and the left leg. You might like to extend your left arm out in front or wrap your left arm around your back, placing your palm somewhere on the inner seam of that right leg. Breathe. Noticing any sensation you might be feeling around the front of the chest, the left shoulder. Softening the muscles of the face. If you notice the hips swaying to the side, mindfully guide them in line with the knees. On your next inhale, extend the left arm skywards. Exhale, place your left palm underneath the left shoulder. Inhale, extend the right arm skywards, gaze up. Exhale, place the right palm under the right shoulder, and we'll take this series on the other side. Coming into Parivrtta. Finding stillness. If you notice the mind beginning to wander, simply guiding yourself to this moment with the breath, guiding your awareness to the sensations of this posture. Inhale, extend the right arm skywards. Exhale, place the right palm under the right shoulder. Inhale, raise the left arm. Exhale, lower the left arm down onto the mat. And from here, we'll join our big toes together, widen the knees slightly, extend the arms out in front as we come into Child's Pose, Balasana. Giving yourself permission to surrender. Noticing any sensation or any release you might be feeling in the lower back. If the ground feels a little far away, you might like to place a block underneath your forehead. Remembering that this is your practice and you always have the opportunity to make it your own. Coming up into tabletop position, tucking the toes under, walking the fingertips out in front a few inches. We'll raise the hips as we come into downward facing dog. And taking any movements that feel right for you today. You might like to pedal out the legs once or twice. Finding length along the back of the neck, a slight tuck of the chin towards the chest, keeping that core engaged. And either staying in down dog or on your next inhale, we'll float up onto our toes, raise the right leg, externally rotate the right hip, flex the right knee, drawing the right heel towards the glutes, re-extend the leg, coming into a tiger curl, and we'll transition into pigeon pose. guiding the right ankle to the left wrist. Right knee is in line with the right wrist. Hips are squared. You might like to keep the back toes tucked or pointed. It's up to you. We'll pause for a moment in an upright position, lengthening up through the spine. And if it's in your practice, we'll hinge forward from the hips, coming into a forward fold, perhaps resting on your forearms. You might like to lower down onto your palms or extend the arms out in front. Breathe. One more mindful breath in pigeon pose. If you are in a forward fold, coming up onto your hands into an upright position, tucking the back toes under, and we'll transition into three-legged dog. Gently lower the right leg down. One breath here, and we'll take this on the other side, floating up onto the balls of the feet. Raise the left leg, three-legged dog. Flex the knee. One breath here, keeping the shoulders squared. Re-extend the leg, coming into a tiger curl and setting up for pigeon pose on the left-hand side. This is a really great posture to stretch into the outer hips, the glutes, particularly after all of this challenging leg work we have been performing throughout the past few days in this series. So I invite you to incorporate this stretching practice into your routine as often as you like, knowing that it's always okay to take breaks. It's always okay to rest. Listen to your body. One more breath in pigeon pose, Mindfully guiding yourself upright into a seated position, grounding down through the palms, tucking the right toes under, re-extending that left leg, coming up into three-legged dog, and gently coming down into downward facing dog. One breath here, and we'll begin to walk our feet to the top of the mat, coming into a forward fold, allowing the chest to melt atop of the thighs, bending the knees. You might like to come into ragdoll or interlace your fingers behind your back, extend the arms overhead towards the earth, feeling a lovely stretch for the shoulders, the upper back. One breath here. Mindfully return your palms to the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, extend the legs. Exhale, forward fold. Twice more, finding your rhythm. This time, grounding down through the left palm, extending the right leg, bending the left knee. We'll extend our right arm skywards, gazing up, finding a lovely stretch for the IT band. Lowering the right palm to the mat, and we'll take it on the other side. Left arm extends, right leg is bent, left leg is extended. And again, finding your rhythm. Coming into one last forward fold. If your hamstrings are feeling a little more opened, you might like to extend the legs, grabbing a hold of the backs of the calf muscles, aligning the hip bones with the ankles, shifting your weight into the front of the feet. And when you're ready, we'll heel toe our feet slightly wider, heels in, toes out, as we come into Malasana, yogi squat. Using this as a transition, we'll guide our palms and our sits bones down onto the mat as we come into a seated position. Placing the palms underneath the thighs, we'll begin to roll down onto our backs, one vertebra at a time. Mindfully guiding the knees to the chest. You might like to create some circles in one direction. And from here we'll come into plow pose, sending the hips up and back, engaging the core, using momentum, aligning the hips over the shoulders, and we'll begin to lower the legs down behind our head, keeping the toes flexed, resting the balls of the feet on the floor. You might like to interlace your fingers behind your back, keeping the arms extended, feeling a slight compression of the throat, perhaps extending one leg at a time, finding a nice passive stretch for the hamstrings. Maybe coming into ear pressure pose, lowering the knees down on either side of the ears. If this isn't in your practice, you're more than welcome to rest in happy baby or any position of your choice. If you're in ear pressure pose, re-extending the legs, one breath here, unfurling the arms from the bind, and with control, engaging the core, we'll begin to lower the legs down, lower the back down, keeping the knees bent, draw them into the chest. Really massaging out the lower back, maybe swaying side to side slightly. Mindfully guiding the soles of the feet down onto the floor, we'll come into a supine spinal twist, creating a figure four with the right leg over the left, guiding the hips to the right, and we'll lower that right foot down onto the floor, perhaps cactusing the arms out wide, being mindful to keep that right knee tracking skywards. Gently release, and we'll take this stretch on the other side. Gently release, and we'll conclude practice with a gentle hamstring stretch, Bending the left knee as we extend the right leg skywards, perhaps pointing and flexing the foot a few times, maybe interlacing your fingers behind the thigh, the calf muscle, the ankle. Really doing your best to keep that leg straight. Maybe extending the left leg out, keeping the left leg engaged, grounding down through the heel of the left foot. For another variation, you might like to raise your chest up off the floor, guiding your head towards that upper knee as you extend that left leg a few inches off the mat. One breath here, mindfully release, bend both knees, and we'll take this on the other side, extending the left leg, finding any variation that feels right for you. If you have both legs extended, you might like to raise your chest up off the mat, guiding your nose towards that left leg as you simultaneously raise that right leg a few inches, engaging the core, squeezing the inner thighs. Breathe. And gently release. Bend the knees, draw the knees to the chest one last time, finding a release for the lower back. And we'll come into Shavasana, corpse pose. Extending the arms out long, relaxing the legs, closing the eyes. Affording yourself a moment of gratitude. Honoring the space that you have created to show up and nourish the mind, the body, and the soul. With every exhalation, allow yourself to melt into the earth. Allow yourself to be soft and supple as you open yourself to the receptive mode to receive all of the benefits of today's practice. If you notice regions where you are still holding on to tension or sensation, simply accept that, no judgment, and invite an open compassion and curiosity into your experience. Give yourself permission to be here for the next few moments, resting in stillness, simply observing the inflow and outflow of air from the body. I invite you to stay in Shavasana for as long as you like. Thank you all so much for joining this restorative stretching class. I hope you are feeling well rested and nourished. Have a beautiful day. Namaste.